You will find Judy Knott moving effortlessly between painting representationally and pushing her imagination with abstract work. Her artwork has been called painterly, inventive, fun, and colorful, with a little wit thrown in. Judy writes, "I want to have fun creating my art, and for those who see it to have fun as well." It's a great note to go out on this evening. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
How are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So why don't we dive right in and you can tell us about what you're currently working on?
I have been working on lately landscapes, which I didn't think I would ever do. So that, yeah, I know. If I couldn't make it better than what I saw, then why bother, right? So I never felt that I could do that well. And so now, but then recently, after having painted now for about 10 years, I started diving in. And as you can see, I've got one of my landscapes here that I'm pretty happy with. This was, and a lot of them, most of them are taken from travels that we've done. This was a 6,000 mile around the Midwest, where about every 100 or 200 yards, I'd ask my husband to pull over so I could take pictures of the streams because they were so beautiful. And so this is one of those. And then the plums over here, they were from the latest trip we did, which was to New Zealand. There was a plum tree and a farm in New Zealand that was so gorgeous, and they were ready to pick, and I took a few pictures, so I painted that.
That's amazing. I expect that your progress for your road trips is very slow then, if you're stopping so frequently.
I know. He was so patient. I so appreciated him.
So tell us a little bit about sort of vacillating between these two modes of painting, from your abstraction to your representational work.
Well, that's been a slow journey as well, actually, because I'm a real literal thinker and a left brain kind of person. I work with computers a lot, or worked with computers a lot. And so when I kept visualizing myself doing abstracts, even though I would paint literally. I would paint still lifes and everything I saw, animals, whatever. But I kept seeing myself doing abstracts. So I slowly have worked my way into abstracts, and I really, really like it. It frees up my brain, and it and that wasn't F-R-E-E-Z-E, that was free. Anyway, it frees up my brain to just not think that much, but yet the same kinds of things with the same kinds of things you have to rely on to create both pieces of art, both types of art. You know, composition and color and you know, balance and all of the things that you need to do with representational art, you always also need to do with abstract. So
do you work on them simultaneously, or do you have to sort of separate them out?
that is an excellent question. I sometimes, if I get frustrated with representational work, with my oils and things like that, I'll take a break and I'll start doing abstraction. If I get frustrated with that, I go back. So I go back and forth. I don't know that a lot of people do that. If they do, I haven't been hearing about that, but I bounce, you know, and it's just the way my brain works. And so it helps because it alleviates stress. You know, when you're really frustrated with a certain painting, and you just can't make it work, then it's nice to be able to go over to something completely different and work on that. And then you can come back to the one you're so frustrated with and maybe work on it easier then.
That's great. I liked how you were talking about earlier, how the abstraction frees up something in your brain. And I can see sort of the problem solving unfolding in that way. It's like you get stuck and you stop and then you go work on something else that's, entirely different.
Exactly right. Yes.
That's great. So what do you consider your best or highest artistic achievement?
You know, I'm self-taught, so the way I tried to build my resume was to um, compete and get, just try to validate what I was doing, which was great. But even though that was very satisfying, the one thing that I come back to is there are people out there who have my paintings that maybe will have them for the rest of their lives, maybe pass them along to other people who love them. And to know that somebody is there who can walk by a painting of mine and it will make them smile or make them have pleasure in some way has got to be the most satisfying thing I've ever done.
I love that. That makes me feel really good. That's wonderful. Well, it's so inspiring to hear you talk about being self-taught. And so how did you actually start painting?
Oh, that's kind of a fun story. I lived in Elk Grove, and they had they had an open studios tour. This was 11 years ago or so. And I've always collected art. I've always appreciated it and loved it. So I was going around to the different ones that I thought would be interesting to me. And the very last one I went to and never left was a lady whose art I loved. Her name was Kate Anderson. And she was going to start teaching again. And so a friend of my husband's asked him if I would like some oils and a little easel, and I jumped at that, and I jumped at the classes, and she started me out with watercolors, and and then introduced me to oils, and I had to choose, and I chose oils, but I also paint with waters a little bit, but all that it was like a perfect storm or kismet or whatever you want to call it. It just fell into place, and I'm just so happy. And I knew I needed something to do after retirement. And so, because I have to be busy. And once I did, and I had used to make jewelry, but that wasn't that satisfying for me. So then when I took the classes, that was it. I was done. Painting was forever.
Wow. So do you have a memory of sort of the first painting that you made that kind of you looked at and you're like, oh, that's it? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Actually, there were two. One was I was painting with Kate, and we were painting a still life, and it was the first one I framed. So it was, that was so. It was my husband told me, he said, well, just think, someday you're going to be hanging your paintings in our house, and I just laughed at him. I said, no, that's crazy. I would never do that. And then once I started getting better, I mean, my paintings are all over the place. But yeah, that little still life that I had framed and hung, it was, oh, wow, that was gratifying.
That's wonderful. So do you have any do you have a future exhibition coming up, or where are you posting? Where can people see your work? Where's the best place?
So, I have pieces up at Fire and Rain in the Fire and Rain Gallery in Folsom. Two of my pieces just recently got purchased by Kaiser Folsom, so that's going to be on the second floor. So that's exciting. I have a studio in Sacramento, but I was showing in Carmel, but not anymore. And I think that's it. Yeah.
That's still a lot. Exciting. Good. So I was curious, we sort of jumped ahead a little bit there, but backwards. I can't read it. There we go. Best place to see Judy's work, not just art. That's fantastic. Good. What else would you like to share with our audience tonight as we're wrapping things up here?
I've started doing some things with these tubes I thought were kind of cool. Yeah, they're heavy duty, but I've been playing around with collage. I love collage, and that kind of loosens up my brain also. But yeah, I've been doing these. I'm going to hang those in my studio, and then I've been working on paper, which I've really enjoyed. Again, collage, and and I've got a show. It was supposed to happen this year, but it's going to happen next year at R Street in July. And all these works on paper will be shown, and I am going to be showing with Larry Williams, who is another artist. How much time do we have left?
We still have a few more minutes.
Oh, good. There's another one of my landscapes here. I'm just looking around to see what I've got. One thing I wanted to say at the end of this is I've got a little glass of wine here, and I wanted to say I hope we can all raise our glasses to the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and may she rest in peace. So here on that.
Yes. Thank you. That's a wonderful way for us to end. I mentioned that at the beginning, and I think it's important to acknowledge the legacy that she leaves behind. So thank you.
I think that, yeah, I just want to make sure. Let's see, is that right?
Yes. Best place to find Judy's art, not just art, and that's with a K.
That is right. Oh, and I've got, on the guide, I'm on the guide, and I have, my links there. So whatever, hopefully people can visit me.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to I just want to ask you one last little question. Just in terms of when you are thinking about, mostly with your representational paintings, when you're thinking about what to paint, what role does your imagination play in sort of coming into those?
In my representational work?
Yeah, does it? Or mostly
yeah. Does my imagination play a part? Remember when I was saying I'm very literal?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I really am trying to make my representational work a little more abstract, but it's hard. It's not the easiest thing in the world. So the imagination really comes more into the abstracted stuff. So representational, yeah, it's pretty much what you see is what you get.
I don't know. I might interject that I think that, like, even looking at the waves that you've created within the creek there, the running water, I think that's where your abstraction comes into play in your imagination for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to use things other than brushes when I'm working. That helps a lot. And when I use like spatulas and rollers and things like that, that tends to break me out a little bit, and it's helpful in making my artwork not look so realistic. Yeah.
That's a good challenge. Well, just a reminder, everyone, not just art with a K, where you can find Judy's things. And Judy, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Kelly. It's nice meeting you.